All right. Yo, what up? What up? It's your boy Divine. Salute to everybody dropping in. I appreciate you. I know a lot of people are going live at the moment, but this is the only time that I can get it in. So I'm going to get my thoughts out there very quickly. We got a lot of fights coming up this weekend, and obviously one of the big names out there is Bud Crawford. Kind of like a little comeback, I guess you can say that in a way. It feels like a comeback. Is it lackluster? Are you excited about it? Am I excited about it? Well, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts here in a moment. We also have Teofimo Lopez fighting as well. I'll probably drop a separate video and just focus on the Terence Crawford and David Avanesyan fight for the sake of this live stream. It's not going to be a long live stream. So if you're here, you get a VIP access live. Unfortunately, I gotta head out the door, head to work. So just a kind of last minute decision to jump on the camera and give you guys my thoughts. Now, obviously, I've been away for several weeks. If you guys don't know, I have been involved in several competitions, back-to-back competitions, a lot of training, a lot of eating, a lot of sleeping, staying focused. And I wanted to really be focused on that and not have any distractions. And sometimes YouTube is a distraction for me. I'm reminded of that every single time I step away for a little bit and I see some stuff going on. It reminds me on how much of a distraction it can be. But nonetheless, I'm in my recovery mode, getting set for another competition at the end of January. So I'll have some time to be able to kick it with you guys and talk some boxing. Salute to everybody, as I said, coming in. We got Dwayne Freeman in the building. We got Combat Tool Bag in the building. Uh, Jerome in the building. Andrew Charles. What good? All right. So without further ado, let me go ahead and give you guys my thoughts on Bud Crawford, David Avanesyan. I've spoken about Bud a couple of times before I decided to take my little break and focus on competitions and whatnot. I think most of my subscribers know where I stand in regard to Bud Crawford. Now, let me just repeat one more time to remind everybody because I don't want to get people to be confused or misconstrue things. I appreciate Bud's skill. I think he's a very skillful fighter. I've been following Bud Crawford for a very long time, watching him go up in weight classes. I think he has a lot of tools in the toolbox. You know what I mean? And I think that he's always had the potential to do great things. Now, have I disagreed with some of the movements that he has made as of late, as far as legacy? Yeah, I have pointed out some things that I haven't liked about it. But more specifically, you know, for me, again, to kind of go back a little bit and hit the refresh button. What's up, Skywalker? What's good with you? To kind of hit the refresh button one more time. When Bud beat Shawn Porter and he stopped Shawn Porter, a lot of people came out here and was upset about the stoppage. A lot of people went at Kenny Porter, saying, Kenny Porter shouldn't have stopped the fight and this, that, and the third. For me, though, personally, I gave Bud all the credit. I thought Bud weathered the storm against Shawn Porter. It didn't seem like it to me like Shawn Porter was trying to take the fight easy and trying to take it easy on his best friend. It looked to me like Shawn Porter came to win that fight. That's my personal opinion. And I saw Bud weather that storm, make adjustments, and drop Shawn Porter legitimately with clean shots. And so I was one of the people that came out here and said, yo, salute to Bud Crawford, man. I mean, you can make the argument that he did a better job than what Earl Spence did. Sure, different time, different place. But nonetheless, the results what they are. When it's all said and done and the dust settles, it's going to say, Bud wins by stoppage. So I came out and I gave a lot of credit to Bud for that. And I had high hopes and I was motivated. And I felt like I was encouraged to see Bud Crawford continue to go up the scale and continue to fight high caliber fighters as he continues to cement his legacy. In my opinion, that hasn't happened. And am I disappointed? Absolutely. Am I excited about a Bud Crawford versus a David Avanesyan fight? No, I'm not. I'm just really not. I've spoken about it several times before I took my little break, and I let you guys know exactly why I'm not excited about it. I think there are other bigger fights out there for Bud Crawford, and it's not just Earl Spence. Now, obviously, I want Earl Spence like most of us do, but it's not just that. There are other names out there that I feel that give Bud Crawford more credibility and can propel his stock and propel his legacy and give him a better, a better advantage to what Earl Spence can do. Because right now we don't really know what Earl Spence is going to do, right? Is he going to come back? I heard Keith Thurman. We heard different things. But Bud decided to go after a guy who's ranked like number 6 or 7 for most of the sanctioning bodies out there. And the promotional companies are trying to portray him as a champion and a legitimate opponent. And I've been around boxing long enough. I don't buy it. Okay. I just don't. And I'm not trying to throw any shade or disrespect David Avanesyan at all. But it is what it is, man. I think that when you look at it stylistically, when you look at the accolades, when you look at the skill set, when you look at everything on both on paper and also when you look at it from a boxing perspective, breaking down the sweet science, I think it's very clear that David Avanesyan, in my opinion, doesn't really have a chance in this fight. And I know people are trying to sprinkle in little things about a possible upset or Bud Crawford may not be prepared and David Avanesyan is going to surprise people. Man, y'all ain't fooling me with none of that bullshit, man. Bud's going to be, he might be a little bit rusty. It might take him a couple of rounds to get warmed up and get acclimated to this different style. Every fighter has a different style. It takes a few rounds to figure him out. But once that happens, it's going to be game over, in my opinion. Once Bud finds his range, knows that he can connect with the shots that he needs to connect with, once he decides rather southpaw or orthodox works better for him against a guy like David Avanesyan, it's going to be all she wrote, in my opinion. And the biggest problem with that is that, you know, I'm so confident of a Bud victory to the point where I'm asking the question not so much of what, where, and how in regards to the fight itself, but afterwards, right? Like, what are people going to say about Bud? Like, what kind of questions is he going to get post-fight? Like, what's the direction for him, you know? And he can't hold onto this victory and put it to a high standard, in my opinion. Yeah, okay, you won, nice, but all eyes are on you, Bud. And that's what my focus is going to be on after the fight. And that's how confident I am that Bud's going to come in and just outclass, outshine David Avanesyan. So there is a poll going on in the YouTube chat. Now, you can let me know what you think. Maybe you don't agree. Maybe you think that Bud will come in not prepared. Maybe he's rusty. Maybe he's overlooking David Avanesyan. Maybe David Avanesyan is prepared and motivated, and he's coming in for the upset. But as far as I see in the poll right now, nobody's going for David Avanesyan. No surprise. I think it really comes down to, based off the poll, is Bud going to win by decision or is he going to win by a stoppage? I think that's what it really comes down to. Look, I think that Bud, if you guys want my prediction right now, I see Bud winning this fight, man, by probably, I would say like a 7th to 8th round TKO. I think David's pretty tough. I think that he knows this is a tough fight. He's preparing himself mentally and physically to at least try to survive the fight and take it to 12, even if he knows that he can't outbox or outwork or out-finesse Bud Crawford. And that's why I give him a little bit of leeway. You know, if I thought that David wasn't prepared and I thought that David was taking this fight lightly, I would say Bud Crawford by a 4th round stoppage. But I'm going to give David a little bit more credit than that. I think he's going to try to be tough. I think he might try to do a few things to make it an awkward fight, maybe try to work on the inside a little bit, try to grab Bud's arms when Bud tries to, you know, let off, because, like Bud, he likes to sit down on his punches on the inside, and he can fight at range and on the inside. And I think that David might try to do a little trickery here to try to extend the fight a little bit. The only thing that I would say in regards to Bud is, I mean, at the end of the day, this is boxing. You know what I mean? We've seen major upsets in the sport before. It's not likely. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. The only way Bud, in my opinion, doesn't win this fight or puts on a disappointing performance is simply he beats himself. Like Teofimo Lopez beat himself against George Kambosos. Like that type of shit. Goes in there, thinks that he could just knock out David and early and, lets his hands down, doesn't protect himself, gets a bit sloppy. If it's early in the fight, when David's still fresh, David could catch him. We've seen Bud get hurt. We've seen him fight with his chin up in the air. We've seen him get hit with inside uppercuts. We've seen him get hit with looping right hands, especially when Bud's in that southpaw stance. So that's the only thing that I see. And I'm expecting Bud to be a professional, use his experience. He's a veteran now, more or less. He's been around. He's in his mid 30s now. I expect him to use that intelligence in the ring, feel out round for a couple of rounds, start to set his feet, find his range, and just start picking David apart from range. And when that happens, he's going to step to him, work the body, and beat him up and break him down slowly. And along the way, David's going to try to tie up Bud and try to counter and try to survive as long as he can. And ultimately, yeah, like I said, man, 7th to 8th round stoppage for Bud. Freddie Ruger, what's good, bro? I see you, man. Nitty G in the building, was good. Ron Nell, was good. Charmaine, was good. I appreciate you guys all stopping by tonight. I know it's been a while since I've been live. Teach, I see you in the building, bro. Go ahead and get your votes in the poll. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to get up out of here. Only got a couple minutes to go, but I did want to get this live out there for you guys, kind of like a last minute live. So for those who are just filtering in a little bit late, look, number one, I'm not excited about this fight. I don't have that kind of feeling in my bones, you know what I mean? In my boxing bones, in my blood. Like, I want to get excited about this fight and bring some boys over and chill and get excited about it. I just don't have that. You know what I mean? It's not like a Wilder Fury or even at the level of a Caleb Plant, Anthony Durrell. Like, I was excited for that fight, just like I'll be excited for a Plant versus Benavidez. Like, that's some exciting shit. You know, when Bud fought Porter, I was excited about it. A lot of people were like, oh, they're friends and shit like that, but I didn't buy it. I thought that Porter was going to come in and try to beat Bud. And to me, it was an exciting fight. Gnarly Ray in the building, was good. DK, I see you, bro. I appreciate you. So I'm not excited about it. I was very disappointed. I was very vocal about that disappointment when Bud announced the fight, because it wasn't just that he couldn't make the fight with Spence or Spence couldn't make the fight with him, all that back and forth. Put that to the side, right? We all have our opinions on whose fault it is and why that fight fell apart. Let's save that for another conversation. You put that to the side and think about this. It's not just that. It's also the fact that all the other people that you could have fought other than Spence, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that it was Spence's fault that the fight couldn't happen. Why David Avanesyan? Out of all people, out of all the people that you could have fought that had way better names, that are much more of a threat, you chose not to fight them, and you fought a guy who's ranked number 6. You're supposed to be the pound for pound best. The boxing world, the media, a lot of the fans, they look at you as Bud Crawford, pound for pound. You should be out there fighting the number 2. You know what I'm saying? The number 1. You should be out there really defending your belt against credible opponents to make us confident that, you know what, maybe we're tripping. Maybe we're tripping about Bud, man. Maybe he can't beat Spence. You know why he can't beat Spence? Because he just beat the brakes off of Boots Ennis. How about that? Bud went out there and beat up Boots Ennis. So maybe we're tripping. Maybe we ain't looking at it right. But when he goes out there and fights a guy like David Avanesyan, rather he knocks him out, 12-round decision. God forbid it's a fucking dog fight and it goes 12 rounds and Bud doesn't look that great. God forbid that, right? But even if he goes out there and knocks out David Avanesyan, what are people going to say? Oh, man, shit. Oh, I'm really confident that he can beat Spence now. But I'm not going to have that confidence. I don't give a fuck if he knocks out Avanesyan in 1 round. I'm not going to then turn around and say, oh, shit, you see that knockout? Man, he may do that to Spence. You know why I won't do that? Because it's easy to do an about face and then say, well, Spence can knock out Avanesyan too. If Bud can knock him out in 4, Spence can knock him out in 4. So what are we really talking about here? Now, the question really is if he knocks out Boots Ennis or Ortiz, a guy who's number 1 or number 2, then you can honestly ask the question of, oh, shit, could Spence do that to that guy? Could Spence knock out Boots like Bud just did? Then it becomes a situation of, like I said, maybe we're tripping. Maybe we're not looking at Bud the right way. Now, I think Bud is highly skilled. That's why it's not anger for me, it's disappointment. Let me say that again. It's not anger, it's disappointment that Bud decided to fight this guy who is irrelevant. A lot of people don't know him. He's ranked number 6 or 7. He's hopscotching around credible names that are 1, 2. And it is what it is. I mean, I don't personally like let me say this too. I don't personally like a Spence and Thurman fight, personally. I know a lot of people are still excited about that fight. I'm not. But it is still better than a fucking Crawford Avanesyan fight, bro. At the end of the day, if Spence goes out there and knocks out Thurman, it's still going to be more credible than Bud knocking out Avanesyan. You know what I mean? Hit the fire emoji if you feel what I'm saying. So those are my thoughts. I'm not feeling the fight. I'll probably, or I'll try my best to commentate live on it just for the sake of it. And as far as Teofimo Lopez, I'm going to have to look at the scheduling and the timing and see if I can fit it all in. But I'll give you guys my thoughts about Teofimo Lopez maybe in a short video. And that's about it. The whole eating Willy Wonka chocolate bars and all the shit that Teofimo and his dad says, I really can't deal with it, man. I'll see him in the ring. We'll see what he does. DP Rock in the building. I appreciate you. But unfortunately, guys, I got to get up out of here. I love to kick it with you guys, man, and chop it up about this fight a little bit more. But duty calls, man. I got to roll out here and make this money. You know what I'm saying? Got to make this money all the time, grinding all the time. So quick recap. Not excited for the fight. It is what it is. I told you guys why I'm not excited about it. I believe I have more than 100 reasons why. I feel like those reasons are validated. If you're excited about Bud fighting Avanesyan, I don't believe you. You might be excited just to see Bud in the ring because you miss watching Bud. But if you try to convince me that, oh yeah, I'm excited about him and fight David Avanesyan, I think that's a credible opponent, then I just don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think you're in denial. And as far as my prediction, I got Bud winning this fight, man, by a 7th, 8th round stoppage. David Avanesyan will have a few little moments here and there, try to tie him up, be a little bit sneaky, maybe get a couple early rounds in. Might take Bud a little bit of time to figure him out, but once he finds that range, starts connecting with big rangy shots, he's going to step to him, rip to the body, and just slowly break him down and get him out of there, man. So that's my prediction. I'll try to be on here tomorrow to commentate live. It's good to see you guys back in the building. I've missed the family immensely. And, yeah, looking forward to chopping up with you guys on more of a longer live stream to really be able to spend some time with the family, man. So make sure that you hit that like button before you get up out of here. Hit that like button before you get up out of here. Get the likes all the way up. Your boy Divine Sense Boxing is back. Bringing that fire, bringing that boxing commentary. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to get up out of here. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Stay a part of the conversation. I'm out. Peace.